And I've done a rough calculation that if we go to Didim from here without refueling here, it's taken us down to the bottom end of the tank, and I don't want to do that.
It's Tuesday today and we're just about to leave Netsel Marina in Marmaris and we're heading to Kalhh, which is about a 5-hour trip. Lovely sunny day, it's quite mild actually, so we're looking forward to getting out and seeing some more beautiful Turkish coastline.
First stop is fuel because we have used 14 hours of fuel so far getting to Marmaris. Our next real fuel stop is Didim, although there are places along the way we could go into, but for ease of refueling, Didim is the best. And I've done a rough calculation that if we go to Didim from here without refueling here, it's taken us down to the bottom end of the tank, and I don't want to do that. I'm estimating that we're going to need about 70 litres to top off the tank. Let's see when we get to the fuel dock, eh? It looks like our estimated hourly fuel consumption was about spot on. It was close enough to 72 litres. So we're doing around about 4.5 litres per hour, which is not too bad. Next stop, kalhh. Been there before, you know it. When we get there, you'll know it. It's early spring and the winds are still unsettled along the Turkish coast, which means we have to plan our anchorages based on which direction the wind will be blowing once we're actually anchored. So coming out of Marmaris, we had to plan how far we were going to travel in each day and then where we were going to anchor at night based on the protection offered by that anchorage. From Marmaris, we planned to go to kalhh because at kalhh we had the choice of either one of 3 restaurant jetties, or if they weren't open or available, we had the choice of an anchorage spot there too. We finally decided from Marmaris to go directly to kalhh for one night, then move up to Datça, and we'd stay in Datça where we had access to good internet, provisions, fuel and water. And we needed to stay at Datça for a couple of days because there was a big wind coming in from the north.
Bye bye Marmaris. See you on the way back.
coming around the corner, and now we get a true understanding of what the wind is doing. Looking at the waves on the water, it's the right speed for us to get sailing, but once we make our turn, we'll find out whether it's going to be the right direction. So fingers crossed.
Well, it was not a bad passage, was it, Bab?
Considering we were into 20 knots of wind, right on the nose, the waves weren't that big really, the swell wasn't that big, so it was quite enjoyable.
All got exciting in the last half hour, really, didn't
It really did, yeah. We are in Kalhh, which is a place we've been to before. It's a big bay, and it has 3 restaurant jetties. Now, our preferred one, because of the wind and the waves and the swell, was the first one, and we could see a yacht already tied back to that jetty, and he had 2 lazy lines on, so obviously somebody had sorted him out, and we went in and positioned ourselves, and nobody from the restaurant came out, so I went, okay, screw this, we'll go and anchor. As we were coming down to the anchorage where we're at now, we went past the second restaurant jetty, and a guy came out waving the flags, and I thought, oh, he's eager, we'll give him the business. But as we reversed towards his big jetty, and he took our 2 lines ashore, and Anshia was up at the front end doing the slime line on, the swell was just too much.
It was pushing us onto the jetty, and it was like big swell, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was just,
I just wouldn't have been comfortable with the arse end of the boat.
Not even with all of the fenders out.
No. So we aborted that, and the guy went, yeah, okay, I understand. So we've come down to the head of the bay, the third place here, even though the guy said, yeah, come tie up here. They're actually rebuilding, still in the construction phase of the jetty itself. But we've anchored. We've anchored in 7 meters of water. We've got 42 meters of chain out. It's a sandy, sort of like pebbly bottom, but we reversed to 3,000 revs, and she's stuck. So we're in.
Yeah.
We've got 6-to-1 scope. The wind is forecast to drop overnight to almost nothing. So hopefully this swell, which gives us a bit of a roll at the moment, will drop as well as the wind drops. But we're only here for tonight anyway.
Yeah.
So it's no big deal. So anyway.
Yeah, we're in.
We're here. We're going to put the boat to bed and download all today's camera footage.
Yeah. See ya. We're going that way today.
Into the Misty Valley.
Yeah, because we're on our way to Arikanda, which is a bit inland to where we've been before.
Oh, okay. At least you know where we're going.
Well, I know the name of where we're going.
And even though it hasn't been raining for a few days, just looking through the gaps in the trees here, and when we come around this bend you might be able to see it, the valley is still the Misty Valley. There it is!
Wow, look at that. I'm going to wind the window.
I'm pretty sure that this valley has got a proper Turkish name, but we don't know what that is, so we just call it the Misty Valley. That's where we're going down into. A lot of farmers in there, a lot of agricultural stuff being grown.
Driving into the mist. Saying to Baz 2 years ago when we came, those hills would have been covered with snow this time of year. So it's obviously been milder this year.
Or harsher that year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's such a long time since I've seen deciduous trees all together.
Really weird, isn't it?
Yeah. The deciduous trees that we passed, we're trying to work out what kind of trees they are. And I picked a leaf that's this shape. And there are lots of these sort of seed poddy type things underneath the tree. So if anybody knows what species of tree that is, we'd really like to know. Put it in the comments below.
Still quite a climb to go, and if we look down, that down there is the Misty Valley. So we've come through that and wound our way all the way up the roads here. By the way, if you're ever in Cash, this guy is the guy to see if you want a car rental or quite a few other services. He does a lot of stuff for tourism. Yeah, I was just noticing though that the ground here, unlike the fertile valleys, it's very, very rocky. So, you know, I guess that limits what they can grow here. Yeah. Seen some grapevines.
Yeah.
Just a few.
Probably, yeah, there. And maybe apple trees and things like that.
Yeah. Very, very, very stony ground.
Yeah. We are nearly there, Baz.
We are very nearly there.
Yeah.
Going up a short, narrow road.
Yeah.
Let's hope we don't meet a bus coming the other way. What's that say? Jeffnet.
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 Jeff!
Jeff!
Arikanda. Here we are. How exciting. So I think we pay here. Is there anybody here? No. We'd just be showing them our card anyway.
Yep.
We're here.
We're here.
We are here. Woohoo. Wow, look, it goes all the way over there. And it's going to have a great view. What I want to know is, how did the Lycians find these places? They must have sent scouts out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you can imagine in them days there'd be no roads, so
Thick
why would they?
Yeah,
I mean,
find
this
this.
is right up
Yeah.
a mountain.
Oh, look at that. I think we're going to need jackets, Baz. Okay, this is for Mike. Yes, another pile of broken bricks.
Here we are in Arikanda, and this settlement is not like anything we've seen before. It's actually located 150 kilometers inland from Antalya on the coast of Turkey. It was first discovered in 1838 by an English researcher traveller, and he figured out its location based on grave inscriptions and coins that he collected from the surface. And around the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th century, many people took notice of this place as, you know, more travellers came through. And in 1971, a Turkish team of archaeologists began excavating the site. Though the city didn't carry a great political significance in the history of the Lycia, it was defined by some ancient writers as a city of lazy and hedonist people. And the reason why it was here, and the reason why it was able to build such an extensive system of housing and sanitation and freshwater systems, was simply because they had a perfect spot on the road that connects inland Lycia to the coastal lands, and also there were a lot of cedar woods here which they chopped down and sold for housing and boat construction. So that's why it's here, and that's how the people who inhabited the place managed to live the lazy and hedonistic lifestyle that they did, apparently. Let's take a look around. This is the first structure that we come across when we first enter this archaeological site, and although we can see similar sized blocks with similar tools being used to carve them, the fitting of the joints is nowhere near as precise as what we've seen in other archaeological sites. Interesting though that here, in this doorway, is an ancient goddess.
Hey, less of the ancients.
Interesting though, in this doorway here, just off to one side of it, is a little hole cut through the rock. We've seen this before. I'd love to know what the purpose of that was. Do you tie your donkey to it or something? I don't know. So here is the view. And I'm going to assume that the current road roughly follows the path of the ancient road, because they generally tend to do that. Very cloudy today, so you don't get the spectacular colours popping out, but it's a heck of a view. Here's an example of the channels that they had running through all of the buildings and throughout most of the town. They had a very separated scheme for sewage water and fresh water, and these would be piped up to the hills behind, and they would get the water running through. So they were quite sophisticated, even though they were lazy. Amazing how the arches seem to stand the test of time. Square cut stone floor slabs. Saw this through a hole in the wall. Now, this looks like some sort of bathhouse with a raised floor on these circular pieces. I'm just guessing here, but that's what it looks like from what we've seen in other archaeological digs. Rough construction, but maybe they just plastered over it to make it nice and smooth, and over the years the plaster has fallen away. There's also a very different style of decoration that they put on their capstones here. Not seen that in any of the other places we've ever visited. This is something we've seen before. Square cut block with a hole in the middle. And that, as we've seen on other places, is your toilet. You sit on there and do you do. Obviously not in that position, it would be positioned over a running channel for the sewerage to be taken away. Further up the hill there's larger structures, and as you can see those three people walking across the front there, they're quite big. Walking further up the hill to our first major structure, and this shows a grand scale of thought. Let's go and have a look inside. There's no plaque here to say what this building was, but it's quite a grand and impressive entrance. Massive arches though.
It's huge.
Yeah. Here's an interesting remnant, a mosaic floor. And I would imagine that this stretched all the way across here, which might indicate that this whole area from there all the way over to that entrance there was covered. Looks like my earlier thought of the fact that the roughness of the way they placed the stones was covered in plaster, and this looks like original plaster. So they didn't have to be perfect because everything got plastered. To get a better scale of this building that we looked at before, that's the windows we were looking at, and that's that big bay window that we were looking at. They certainly did think big. This is a bit closer to the big bay window on that building, and you can see why they put a bay window in here, because the view is spectacular. I'm guessing a lot of these pine trees wouldn't have been here in the day. You could just look right down the valley and right up the other side. This appears to be some sort of large, very large bathhouse. This here would have been the floor level. You can see holes here for water, hot water to come through, and these again round disc-shaped rocks which would have supported the floor all the way through here.
That must be where they had
Maybe steps up to another level as well.
So this would have been the level of the floor if you were walking.
Yeah, so you're walking
So
through, but even so, if that was the level of the floor,
It's still
it's
high,
still a
isn't it?
tall doorway.
Oh, right.
I've never seen that style before. Immense. Absolutely immense. As we climb further uphill and get above the bathhouse with the big bay window, we get a better perspective of just how big this establishment was. It goes back and back. This collection of stones is obviously what the archaeologists have pieced together, because this obviously belongs on the top end of a building, but they put it down on a flat piece of wall here at head height level. But it's quite impressive to be able to get up close and see how they've carved these pieces. Just wish I knew what it all said.
Well, I wonder if Google translates.
Now this is quite interesting. Higher up the hill we see a cutting style of the building blocks that we're quite familiar with from the other archaeological sites. Again, we've got this tight fitting blocks, and everything is perfectly aligned. It's almost like two different building styles in one place. So here we see a third style of cutting and laying the rocks. Now, considering this site is roughly 4,000 years old, it's not a stretch of the imagination to think that maybe 3 different types of people lived here and built in their own particular way. What I like is they put these wedge-shaped ones where they need them. There's one there, one there. There's a little one over there. Interesting. After climbing up quite a few steep steps from way down there, you come around a corner and you are greeted with this, minus the tree, of course. The tree is a new addition, and so is that tree up there. But here we are, once again in the amphitheatre. Built in the Greek style from the year 1 BC and the 1 AD. And this one, no special seating in the middle here for VIPs. So the stage area and all the backstage bits. But strangely enough, the one thing that's missing in this particular stage area is some sort of decoration. It's very plain. In fact, the only thing that I can see here that's actually decorated in any way, and this stone might even not belong here, is this one here. And they really didn't go to town on it. We're now pretty much at the top of this excavation site, and that tree, and definitely that tree went there, or that one, when this was built. So this is the stadia or stadium, and this is a half-size one than what is normal length for a stadium, and they only have seating tiers on one side instead of both sides. The reason is because they simply didn't have enough room to build a full-length stadium, and they would have races here. And here we are at one end looking down the full length of this half stadium. Imagine how big a full-size stadium is. We're pretty much at the top of the site here, and this is the commercial agora, or basically the shopping centre. The biggest structure is in the Acropolis, which is the top end of the Arikanda, and best example of Hellenistic architecture. 12 shops were aligned on the northern side of the agora. The floor was laid with smooth rectangular plates of stone, and there was a long wooden stoa extending in front of the shops, which one could ascend in 2 steps. Now, I've just looked down there and I can see our car way down below. So imagine walking all the way up here, getting your groceries, getting down to your house, and your wife says, "Did you remember the milk?"
Join us next week as we sail and explore more of Turkey, and if you like this video, give us a big thumbs up.